Hey my friends, welcome back to the Nightmare Cinema Club. It's been a while, but we're still here, still busy, still working. Been so busy with all the other channels as well. And I've had such a relaxing week, if I can put it that way. I've just been going through my cupboard there in the background and watching some random DVDs, random horror movies. And I found a couple of things that I've seen these movies so many times. But it's still, it's fun to go back sometimes and just watch some random movies and just, So I'm just going to show you guys the 5 movies that I've been watching this past week. Some good ones, some cringy ones, but always good for a laugh and always good for a scare, as I always say. So yeah, the first one that I watched was actually the remake, the 2009 remake of Last House on the Left. This lovely little gem. And my friends, what can I say about this movie? I mean, this is completely different from the 1972 version that was directed by the horror maestro himself, Wes Craven. But this one takes extreme to another level. I mean, if you're familiar with these films, the Last House on the Left films, it's basically a nice little revenge horror thriller kicking the bad guys' asses at the end of the movie. The 2009 remake starred Tony Goldwyn and Monica Potter. But yeah, basic premise of the story is their daughter goes out for a little bit of a good time, goes looking for some trouble, tries to score some drugs, and unfortunately she runs into the wrong people. And what can I say? It goes bad. It goes very bad. But there's so much satisfactory in that movie where the bad guys do get a little bit of they get what they deserve. Check out 2009's remake, Last House on the Left. You won't be disappointed. Now, the other movie that I recently watched is a Dutch film. Originally, it was released in 1988 as Spoorloos. Spoorloos. Now, that's also an Afrikaans word for just vanishing, getting, lost. But this is the original, 1988, The Vanishing. And it starred Johanna ter Steege and Jean Bergvoets, among others. But this movie is so scary in the way that I always talk about, the evils of the world and how you never know your neighbor and how you never know what's going on with the person living next to you or even people that you know. They might seem like very nice, decent people, but underneath the surface, who knows what's lurking? And this is exactly what this movie is about. Rex and his girlfriend go on a little vacation in the countryside. It's always countryside, it's always these weird places. But yeah, they go on this little road trip, little vacation, deeply in love people. And at a convenience store, the lady, the lead actress, gets abducted. And she's never heard from again, hence the word The Vanishing or Spoorloos. And poor Rex has this thing where he's obsessed by finding out what happened to his girlfriend years and years later. And he's actually confronted by the killer numerous times in the movie. And it's a slow burn, but the ending of this movie is quite disturbing of how it turns out for poor Rex. Guys, again, I'm just looking back on these movies and I'm just, sharing with you the experiences that I've had with these movies. But give it a watch if you can find it. I'm pretty sure you can find it. But it's not one of your typical horror movies, but it does come down to a very frightening experience for these characters. So yeah, I hope you can find this. Anyway, moving on. Now, if you want to watch a really campy popcorn movie, if you're in the mood for something very silly, and you're looking for some slimy, gory monsters, plus some ladies dancing around on gravestones naked, then I recommend Watch this. The Return of the Living Dead. This was the sequel to the 1990 version of Night of the Living Dead. It's nothing not like Night of the Living Dead. Let me promise you that. This is one of those campy 80s horror movies. Came out in 1985. Yes, I was only 5 years old when this came out. It starts some great characters from movies of that era. James Karen was his name. Tom Matthews from, you might remember him from one of the Friday the 13th movies where he returns as Tommy. He's actually the guy that's been based on in that Friday the 13th game that I always do, that I sometimes do on my gaming channel, Arms Only Gaming as well. He's the guy who plays Tommy. Linnea Quigley, she was known as one of the scream queens of the 80s, and she always loved getting her tits out for some reason. Not that I mind. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, this movie, I mean, it takes place a couple of years after the events of Night of the Living Dead. The barrels that they were stored in, the zombies and stuff, and then somewhere in the movie, a zombie comes alive after two characters opened up a barrel and they inhale the fumes, and the fumes get burned in the crematorium, and it starts raining acid rain, and the gang of which Linnea Quigley's character is, what's her name in the movie? I think her name was called Trash or something like that. Really campy movie. The acting is way over the top, but it's a nice little late night horror movie if you just want to have some fun. There's no seriousness in this thing. Zombies start running around and it gets crazy. It gets really crazy. It's a good one. So I recommend you check that out if you can find it. Yeah, it was quite fun to check this one out again as well. It starred Tobin Bell in a little movie called Buried Alive. Now it's not one of the best horror movies that I've ever seen, but it's still a good watch. Trust me. Like I said, it starred Tobin Bell from Saw, as you know, the guy who was the Jigsaw killer. Yet in this one, he's a little bit creepier, and he's weird. He's a weird caretaker. Film centers around a college couple that goes on or a group of college friends, rather, who go on a little vacation in New Mexico. And once they reach their destination, they're haunted by a spooky spirit. So, you're in for a good one with this. I mean, who was the actors? Terrence J, Tobin Bell, as I said, Lee Rachel, among others. And also in this movie, you're going to see a lot of nudity. You're going to see a lot of those and flapping all over the place. But the premise of this movie as well, like I say, college people going on a vacation, getting killed and being stalked by a vengeful spirit. And there is this one scene with the one student standing outside, and he gets split in half with an axe by the spirit, and you know, just the way he departs, his body departs. It's quite good. If you can find Buried Alive. There were some other movies called Buried Alive as well, but it has nothing to do with this one. I can't remember who starred in those, but I did see those when they came out. This was in the 90s somewhere. But yeah, this Buried Alive came out in 2007. So if you can find this one, check it out, my friends. And then out of all the movies I watched, the 5 movies that I watched the past week, I just thought this was probably the best out of all of them. What is your wish? Lovely character. The Jinn, as they call him. Not Jinn like the dop you drink, or the Jinn. That's a genie. Now, Wes Craven was actually a producer on this film when it came out in 1997. And it's actually, like I said, one of the best ones that I watched this week. It starred Tammy Lauren, Robert Englund, Tony Todd, Kane Hodder, among others. There's a lot of great things, and I think the thing that I love the most is the makeup was done by K&B Effects, and it was also directed by Robert Kurtzman, who's actually part of well, was part of K&B Effects at that time. But what a great film. I mean, we always see these little stories about genies, you know, you rub the lamp, you get 5 wishes or 3 wishes and everything's lovely. Not in this film. I mean, in this film, genies are really evil creatures, and they really cause a lot of cuck in the wake of things. But also a very good movie, very suspenseful movie. Out of all the 5 movies that I watched, it's actually one of the best. And if you can find it, recommend watching it, checking it out, my friends, and getting your horror on. But yeah, just a little look back on some movies that I checked out this past week. I'll see you guys with some full look backs on some various other movies that I'm busy watching and stuff. Like I say, I'm very busy with my gaming channel, very busy with my music channel. Please check those out if you haven't already. Please like, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one, and as I always say, my friends, enjoy the fear. I'll see you soon. Cheers.